Super excited to announce a new partner that I'm working with, Meat Locker Official. They are a meat company. They ship all kinds of meat. Go check out their website, meatlocker.com. It's amazing. Man, let me tell you, the bacon. The bacon's the best bacon I've ever had in my life. All the other meats are very good. I had a nice ribeye the other day, chicken breast, all kinds of stuff. The steaks and the bacon, though, for sure the best bacon I've ever had in my life. Meatlocker.com. Type in the code name Easton 2019. EASTON 2019, and you will receive 15% off of your order. Again, meatlocker.com. Get some bacon. Evo Labs products. Man, I love a couple of Evo Labs products that I like to use. I like to use their skin repair and intensive salve. Man, the skin repair is amazing for when I get like these little abrasions on my skin, and you're always worried about like whether you're going to get an infection or not, or how it's going to heal. Skin repair, Evo Labs skin repair. Go check them out, evolabs.com. And then 2, their intensive salve. Okay. Again, this is for like a little bit of soreness after I train at the end of the day. Rub it all over, like especially like my upper back and my arms, then my legs. Love it. Again, evolabs.com. I do also like their Meditate. It's a CBD pen where, at the end of the night, it helps me calm down, go to sleep, especially after like intense training during the day. So those 3 products are 3 of my favorite products from Evo Labs. 1, the skin repair, 2, the intense salve, and 3, the CBD pen. The Gospel Fire also brought to you by Onnit, ONNIT. Go to their website and man, go check out their products. Code name is Eliot. You put in Eliot, ELIOT, and you will get 10% off all of your Onnit products. I personally like the Alpha Brain. That is my favorite product, and every once in a while I like to use their Shroom Tech as well. So those 2 products are my favorite from Onnit. So again, Evo Labs guys at evolabs.com and Onnit, ONNIT. Check them out. Thanks for the support of the podcast from those guys, and hell yeah, let's get after it. Hey guys, this is former UFC fighter Eliot Marshall, and this is the Gospel Fire, where we're going to go through the fire to learn how to live the best life possible. All right, here we go. All right, we're back. Dual episode. Me and my homie, Tait fucking Fletcher. Yo, what up, man?
Hey, man. I'm so fucking stoked to be here. Thank you. This is, it's really pushing me into... It's weird to say that doing a podcast pushes you out of your comfort zone, but it's like I get so much going on with my life that I feel like, I'm avoiding this, and then I don't know, I don't have anything to say, and then all that self-editing and all that shit comes in, and you're like, I'm a loser anyway. What do I got to say? So I'm really glad that you pushed this. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
I need it.
Thank you for doing it, man. And I just, we go back a long time, homie.
Yeah, we do.
Fucking A, right? Like,
I was thinking about that the other day when I was reading your book.
Yeah.
And so is this better sound? I just put in headphones.
Yeah, headphones is way better. Perfect.
Okay, good. Okay. I was thinking about, 9/11. Mm-hmm. Somebody asked me, because I was watching the show called The 2000s on Netflix.
Yeah. It was on CNN originally, I think, but go ahead.
Well, and Tom Hanks they just did a beautiful job with it, and all the things there, and like thinking about how maturity adjusts my lens. As I look back at George W. Bush, to me, was one of the biggest terrorists in the country. And I thought he put people, like all this stuff, I had all this narrative about, and I look back with kinder eyes and I go, these guys, him, Obama, Trump, everybody's in a horrible position. Like it's a really crazy. And so like you can look back and go with a little more understanding. But I was thinking about that 9/11, and I was at Boulder when me and Isaac walked out of practice. There was like a competition class, and I don't know if we were white belts with 4 stripes or blue belts. I think blue belts probably. And 7 a.m, man. And then our friend Gregor, the Viking, hits us up and he's like, "Are you watching the news?" And we're like, "No, we just got out of class." And he's like, oh my God. And then that second plane hit. And I was just, those times I'm just like, wow. And then I remember thinking the world has changed now forever.
Fucking, it did.
In ways so unexpected. I didn't know it was coming. I just knew it was going to be like, this is going to be scary for everybody. And they're going to use that fear and it's going to get dark. and, you know, and we're, you know, on the other side of that in some degree, or living within that reality, I guess. But inside that macrocosm of fear, inside the own microcosm, here we are, a bunch of kids in this fight camp kind of thing, which is like, you know, I mean, for me in that way, and I don't know what it was like for you guys, but up there, but like, I know like Keith too, like we talk a lot about it and, you know, look at it as how do you find a crucible to walk through? How do you find the adversity to mold you in a way? And maybe that was part of what I think maybe drew me into the first thing that drew me into jiu-jitsu was the meditation aspect of like, don't worry about anything except don't get swept or don't get choked. And that was a clearing in my mind I'd never felt before. And that was stick fighting too, did that for me. But then I think about, you know, facing your fears and this discomfort. And I remember at that time, man, who was the big son of a bitch? Was it? He was big. And
Big Dave. He's dead, man. He's not alive anymore.
What happened?
Yeah, like, I mean, a decade ago, he OD'd.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he OD'd on pain pills.
Man, well, he choked me with his goddamn foot one time, and I didn't think that could happen. I remember he grabbed my gi and he just put like the shallow part of his bottom of his foot against mine, and I couldn't move. And I was just thinking, and you and them all, and you're like, yeah, he does stuff like that. Like,
bro, he was my nemesis, man. Like, I would train every day, bro. I would train every single fucking day, and he would train for like he'd come in for like 2 weeks, and then he'd leave for 2 months. Right? He's just a weird cat, you know. And then I mean,
you think you're going to catch up on him.
Yeah.
Wind is gone and this and that. Yeah.
And it wasn't like he was that far ahead of me. We'd have these monster, like 40-minute matches where he would finally beat me at the end, you know? And I'm like, okay, this 2 weeks had to make a difference. And nope. Like, it didn't make a difference for fucking years. I can remember, like, the when it made a difference. But I had like, I mean, literally, I had won the Pan Ams. I just won the Pan Ams as a blue belt when it made a difference, and that took 3 years. That took 3 years of training for that difference to happen. Of him training like that and me training the way I was training, and man, he was at one time he was the highest ranking kung fu master between California and the Mississippi River.
My God,
dude, we would go to places, right? We would go to places sometimes, homie, and he like people would stop and come up to him and they would bow at him and they'd be like, Master Perry, sir.
Holy fuck.
Dude, it was crazy. And we'd be like, who the fuck? Yo, Dave, are they fucking talking to you? And they're like, please don't be disrespectful and use foul language in Master Perry's presence. And we're just like, what the
You're like, I don't know him like that.
Yeah. Like when
Jiu-Jitsu is cool because it levels a lot of that, like all that nonsense out of it. Not that it's nonsense, but you know what I mean.
I totally know what you mean, but like he still used some of that stuff with jiu-jitsu. Like the way he warmed up, he just did breathing exercises. He didn't like do any physical warm up for tournaments. He would go sit in the corner for 30 minutes and then just do these breathing exercises. Like, and bro, yeah, dude, and then he'd be fucking drenched in sweat. He'd be sweating. Wow. Like you'd be like, dude, you didn't fucking move. You know?
Wow.
He was intense. He was an interesting cat.
That's the thing that fascinates me about jiu-jitsu schools, and that you just can't aggregate the data. But like the killers and these very special people that are in there that you don't know about. Everybody looks, all these fucking nerds watching, they look at the UFC and they're like, these are the guys in the world that are the whatever. But man, there's killers that are your chiropractor or your eye doctor or, you know, like the ditch digger down, like, and he's just got a knack for this and he never really competes, but he's a killer. And jiu-jitsu's made that everywhere.
Everywhere. It's great. Like, man, you like for me where I am now, right? Like with the schools and everything. And like, I have a lot of influence.
How many schools you got?
We have 7, you know?
Okay.
So we have 7 schools, you know? And like wherever I go, like I rarely will go a place where like the school didn't have an influence on somebody there. And I'm not intentionally trying. You know, like my kid got sick. I think it was 2 years ago. He gets this thing called croup. where
I've heard of that.
Yeah, it's fucking scary, man. Like his face turns blue, he can't fucking breathe. Most of the time we can handle it at home, but sometimes it's really, really bad. Like his chest starts to concave, and my wife's like a nurse prac, like she knows what she's doing. But and like when she says, "Hey, go turn the car on," I'm like, "Oh fuck." But like we're going to the hospital, she did like her
with
last
a calm voice.
Yeah, like she's
go
like,
turn the car on.
Go get the car ready. I'm like, oh shit. If she's saying go to the hospital. So anyway, we rush to the hospital, get him there, and man, I didn't even know, but it's one of my students.
Yeah.
One of my students is the ER doc, and it just puts you at ease, right? It just puts you at ease, and you're like, okay, this guy's for sure gonna take care of me.
Yep. There's a familiarity and a love there, and already a built-in concern.
And
in a machine.
And jiu-jitsu does that, right? It brings all these people from all walks of life, and they just come together on the mat. But on the mat, none of that matters, and that's the beauty of it, right? Like you're how smart you are, or how tough, or how much money you have, or what you've done in your life, or what you haven't done in your life. All that matters is the mat skill and how you deal with that.
Yep. Yeah. How do you deal with pressure? I'm going to go ahead and put pressure on you and all these different varieties of human bodies. And that, I think that was the beginning of it for me. That was like that pressure. I was like, who are, I was, after I sent you that Bob O'Reilly, but I loved it. I loved it.
I loved it. I was all amped up, clapping my fucking hands. I was like, oh, good. Yes.
It's so good. And then I listened to Who Are You after that. And that's been an echo of my mind. So really since quitting fighting, I guess, is who are you? And in that mat, there's only truth. And you can find out just who you are here. And if you're open to the answers, you got an awareness, you'll get a deeper understanding of yourself than people get. I mean, I would say it's equal or more than meditation. And that, like, you're in a different kind of meditation maybe, and you're putting real physical expenditure with consequence on the line, and you grow at an incredible rate when you can put those things together. It's like, here's an incredible consequence and a physical exertion that you're going to have to get into a state to meet this obstacle. And then you do, and you learn to curate yourself differently, I think. But at that time when we were in Boulder, I remember you were like, I was like, man, Eliot's not training right now. What's going on? And you were like, I've got a heart thing where I feel like, I don't know if you said you'd had a heart attack or what. And I was like, man, he's fucking 19 or 20 or whatever. Like, you're a young guy. And I was like, Jesus. And then it ended up, and then I moved, right? I moved out of Boulder, and I was like, knowing you guys, watching you. And I'm like, holy fuck, he's killing everybody. And so there's something that happened where it's like, no, I've got this anxiety that it's coming out as a heart problem. Yeah, and I can't even roll hard. I won't compete. And then you became one of the killers in the heavyweight division of grappling tournaments everywhere. Like you're a podium guy. Yeah. Yeah. What happened?
It went away. It just
how did you get away?
Nothing. It passed with time.
Is it just staying in the room long enough?
Yeah, I just kept going to jiu-jitsu. I didn't train. I would drill a little bit, but I wouldn't train because I was too scared. I was too wrapped up in the anxiety. And then it just passed. But that's kind of what it does, right? But the problem with that methodology or how that, when it goes like that, is, man, it comes back, and it comes back worse.
Oh.
It did. It came back way worse, and that is what led to the breakdown that I describe in the book. Is because I masked it with fighting and with competing. So
would you say masking it with fighting and competing? Could you also say masked it with trying to hyperproduce these endorphins and this kind of chemical cocktail that my brain makes when I put myself in these positions? Was that the alleviation of it? Like when we slap hands, all that shit goes away, and now we're just moving.
Well, you have a reason to be nervous when you're fighting, right? You have a reason to be shitting your pants.
So, I always remember hearing Tim Kennedy or Brian Stan talk about it, and they're like, yeah, a lot of guys got to get relaxed, calm down before they go out. Like, my heart rate's 50 beats a minute, and I got to get hyped up for they've come from gunfights, It's a different world.
That's a different world. Exactly.
Yeah. Yes, it's weird how different we all are and why we all do it.
Well, it's just what you experience, right? Because you watch people you watch like maybe a normal everyday Joe who doesn't do jiu-jitsu, right? Like, I mean, his kid spills a cup of milk, and that's like the end of the fucking world,
right?
You know, but that's their adversity level that they're dealing in. Where for us, you know what I mean? Like, I have to fight to have that kind of feeling.
Right.
You know, like if you want me to be scared shitless like that, it's got to be a fight. And for Tim Kennedy and Brian Stan, they're like, yeah, you know, fighting's cool.
Yep.
You know,
what masterful people. It's so cool. It's so cool to all the people we've gotten to meet, you know?
It's amazing. It's
beautiful. Yeah.
There's nothing like, that's why I say jiu-jitsu saved my life.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, when people say that t-shirt came up, and I was like, people don't really know. They think you're talking about a street incident. Or like the people that don't really know, don't know. And the people that know are like, dude, this vein runs so deep of how it saved my life on all the different levels. It's fucking layered, buddy.
And tell me where you can't go in the world.
Right.
I can go anywhere I want in the whole world just about, right? You know, I mean, probably even down to like third world countries. And if you find a jiu-jitsu school, somebody there will take care of you.
Yep. And you're an additive to whatever community you go into. That's the other thing is like when I was really depressed and really feel like when I was in some of my worst days and I look back and like, what is the mind state that accompanies that? And it's always a feeling of worthlessness and purposelessness. But man, you got the language of jiu-jitsu. Like you can go out and first of all, break your isolation, and you can go speak a language with somebody else without talking or anything, and you can work out a lot of stuff. It's a pretty incredible tool in that regard, and I just fell into it accidentally, not by being smart. But
for me, what in my darkness, that the last one, like I feel really connected to my students in Denver on Tuesdays and Thursday nights because like I don't know if they know this or they've heard me say it, they were part of this like saving my life thing because they showed up for my class.
Yeah.
You know, and I knew, and what it became for me to get out of my hole was I was just like, man, I got to go and I got to teach them because they're expecting me to be there. And I owe it. Exactly. I owe it to them. And them actually like just being there, like they saved my life. And like we had one of them died a couple years ago, you know, really sad story. And I wasn't feeling it, right? Like I was sad, but I hadn't like cried yet.
Breakdown of tears,
no breakdown.
Yep.
You know, and then we did like his mom came out and we did this memorial for him at the school because you know they're poor, and so we took care of everything. You know, like we flew her out because she wanted him to be out in Colorado where his remains were. You know, and holy fuck, man, it hit me. I was like, God, and it wasn't just him that hit me. It was like I fucking love these people.
Yep.
Like
the lives touched.
Yeah.
You know, and then you grow somebody like that, and then you see his family or his people, and you go, "Wow, I touched their lives."
I was bawling, man. I had to give like a speech. You know, I had to talk, and I was a blubbering mess.
Wow, man.
You know, I was a blubbering mess because that's like the minute that I realized it wasn't all him. It was like I love every single person that walks in this school to like I felt like they came to see me.
Yeah, they did.
And they came to make me better. You know, like they came to heal me. And I was like, fuck, man.
And entrusting you.
Yeah.
Really, they're entrusting you with faith and going, you're not going to teach me some kind of fake karate or something. Like you're I mean, that's the thing. That's the charge of a martial arts instructor that I always got pissed at and that I always was bummed about. Like before really jiu-jitsu became as powerful as it is. And it's so clear now what the best things to do are to protect yourself. But
for sure.
Before that end where you're like, you go in and you're like, oh, I need help. And you walk into some Aikido thing or something. You're like, I don't know. A tough wrestler beats the fuck out of everybody in here. Like, I don't,
yeah.
You know what I mean? You're just like, this isn't. And then you fall into jiu-jitsu and you're like, this is a mystery that I can't.
And that guy makes you call him master. And I
all that,
hate, right?
All that, yep.
You know?
I know a lot of jiu-jitsu guys that want to get called master, and that's the one thing they care about the most. And I'm just like, you guys, if you want to be at the front of the room, it's maybe not a good look, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, if you got something to offer, anyway, that's a whole different deal. But like that self-discovery, I think that I've been loving watching the rise of stoicism, I guess, in general, all across the culture. But
yeah.
A lot of people use it as sound bites, and I've really seen you dig into it in like a goddamn ditch digger looking for fucking water. Like you've dug in, man.
Well,
and
it's what I know that worked for me.
I always loved it just because it seemed like simple directions that made sense. You're like, oh, that makes sense to me. The way that looks, it looks evolutionarily sound. Like these emotions come up. This is the way you should comport yourself around that. Maybe you need to feel differently about that. Like it was a real restructuring of like kind of faulty thought processes in my mind, I guess. Like I was able to regenerate better ideas, I guess, through people that had walked a road. And I think that's one of the most important things is like, you know, walking a road and then you can share about the scenery. But if you've never walked a road and you're sharing about the scenery, you're a fake ass rapper. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. You know, it's, I'm in my office, you know, that's where I do my podcast.
Yep.
And I have like two quotes I have two posters on my wall, and one of them is Martin Luther King about, you know, darkness can't drive out darkness.
Yep.
And the other one is The Man in the Arena by Theodore Roosevelt, right? We have to keep, that's the beautiful thing with jiu-jitsu, right? Is you got to keep stepping in the arena every day.
Yeah.
Right? Like, man, I got these 20-year-old killers coming up, man. They're blue belts right now, but they're not like real blue belts. They're probably like that blue black level almost, right? You know? Yeah. And it's like, man, they're going to, like, if I'm not stepping in the arena and training with them, I'm doing me, like, forget them. I'm doing me a disservice. You know? I'm doing me because I'm avoiding the arena. You know, and this is what we start to do just with our lives. I feel like a lot.
Totally.
What Stoicism teaches us not to do, right, is it teaches us to always be getting in the arena. Yeah. You know, you're always looking for an arena to get in. And when you're done getting in arenas, that's when death comes. And we don't know what happens when we die. It's okay. You know, and there's no guru that's teaching us this. There's a lot of people that have thought certain things that we can take things from. And some of them I agree with and some of them I don't. But that's okay. You know, that's okay. I can't let that affect me so much.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I always go back to I'm the fish I got to catch.
Yeah.
And if these other things are affecting me from alternate areas that I've got to get, I mean, I don't know, with the social media and everything right now, I have to become reductive in what I'm willing to look at or take into my mind. You know, it's just like my mama used to say was, you know, be careful what you listen to. Garbage in, garbage out. And, you know, talking about like Motley Crue or something or whatever. And I was like, fuck you, Motley Crue's awesome. And we're smoking in the boys' room. Okay, Mom? But, you know, that whole thing now as I try to curate myself with all this noise that's just the world today, it takes a heightened level of discipline that I'm glad that I'd gotten the little bit that I've had in this life, because I couldn't imagine navigating this without. Like if I were just born 10 years ago, I'm like, this looks, I mean, and I guess it'll just be normal to them. But it's like there's a point where I feel like
it's not good. Like I'm super scared for my kids.
Androids.
Yeah, man. I'm super scared for my kids, right? Because like you give them this cell phone, which I'm not going to do. You know,
right.
You give them this cell phone where they can download that like Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat, and that ain't like. I guess it's real world, but they can't handle that yet.
It's a different world, bro.
Right.
It's not real world. It's another reality. And so everybody, even no matter what your little avatar is of you, or if it's the 49ers or whatever, you know, you put on your thing, you become another personality. And if that personality is anonymous, even scarier, because now I don't need to own my words. And the minute that we can go ahead and put things out and not be responsible for them, like our words and behaviors, well, fuck, that's a cancer in yourself, and you're putting a cancer into society. And so I think that like this dual personality, it's almost like it's becoming schizophrenic, because people have very different personalities online than they do in reality, which is a weird thing now. And so how do we, you know, how do you tell that to a kid?
Right. I get it. Right. Because I have friends, man, that are hilarious online. And then when you sit down and talk to them, they can't say 5 words.
Right. They're just quiet, scared, getting over their.
And I'm like, what are you doing, man? You're so funny. You know?
Yep.
They're like,
I wonder if that's like
bored. And I'm like, what do you mean you're bored?
I knew a guy years ago, and he wouldn't leave the house because he was playing Dungeons and Dragons, like online or something, or one of those types of things. And he created a character, and he was powerful there and in that realm and all that. And he got his food delivered. He didn't like to go out. He liked to be known as Thoron or whatever, and fucking stay, you know what I mean? And because he was more powerful there in the real world, which was, That was 15 years ago, probably, or so.
There's no consequence, man. It's what we talked about before. It's what's the beauty of jiu-jitsu, right? Is there's no, like, we always have a consequence. Everything you do on that mat has a consequence.
Yep.
Right? And
I like the purity of it.
yeah, there's no lying, right? And like, I like what you said about truth, because sometimes the truth is one on Monday, the truth was this, and then on Tuesday, it could be different circumstances, different environments, different factors going on. The truth is different.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
So you've gone from, and even had matches where this guy beat you on this day and you beat him on that day, right?
Right.
Like those kinds of things that occur. And when you start, you're a young man. And so this idea of being big brothered, or like, nope, that guy's better than me at jiu-jitsu. When you look at somebody else and say, that guy's better than me at jiu-jitsu, is that true or false? I mean, because we're in this continuum, right? Of like on any given day or this or that, or is it true that guy's just going to be better are there guys like that you feel about, or is it a puzzle to solve?
So I definitely think that we need to be honest, and there's better and worse.
Right.
You know, we need like scoreboards are very important. Like like taking them away from our children was like the worst thing that we could do. But you then have to learn how to use the lesson of someone being better than you. Right. And now improving yourself. Sure. Like that's what's great about, like, for example, mixed martial arts. Anderson Silva, GSP, John Jones, all these guys, right? They are not the best at any individual part of mixed martial arts. Everywhere they go, right? When John Jones or whoever, when they go to a kickboxing match, they lose that sparring session to the best kickboxers. When they go wrestle, you know, they lose the wrestling, you know, and then when they go to jiu-jitsu, they lose the grappling. But when they put this whole beautiful picture together and it's time for them to get into the cage and show us like the whole combined thing, they're the best, right?
Isn't that what George, that's what separates George, right? Is the cipher in between, from the jab to the shot, like that little in between, that melting of those, so there's no space.
So what do we do? So every day, are you doing something so that you can be better, you know?
Right.
So that you can do something to improve yourself, and that's the judge. The judge is, are you better than you were yesterday? You
right.
know?
Not Eliot beats me every time.
Right.
And now if I don't beat him today, that means something.
That means something about like the human that is Tait Fletcher.
Right.
It means nothing unless you allow it to.
Right. Yeah. It's funny. Tom DeBlas put something up about a young boy that was choked by a young girl in a tournament or something. And
okay.
is like, now he's got to deal with the humiliation of that forever. And he's on blast online getting beat by a girl. And all I said was, he doesn't have to be humiliated by that at all. It can just be a thing that happened of two creatures came together and one, in this instance, finished another one. Like it doesn't, you know, that whole thing, that whole piece about what we allow things to mean is so powerful and either encouraging or debilitating. It's
one or the other, you know,
yeah.
It's one or the other. And what we need to teach our children is that it's the encouraging, you know,
yeah.
Good for you. Like I think I wrote it in the book, like my kid couldn't cut the grass. Like he really wanted to cut the grass because like this was important for me. Like I grew up watching my dad cut the grass when I was a little boy. Then I learned how to cut the grass, and like it was a really big part of my life. And I remember the first time my dad didn't come check the grass after I cut it to see if I cut it well. I was just like, and I went and I ran to my mom. I'm like, hey mom, Dad didn't check the grass today, you know? And it was like a huge part of my life. So like when my kids were little, I was always like, you know, like, man, for one summer we had like, and I think it was the summer like when Simon was born. So Simon's my second child, and it was just craziness, right? I did not have time to cut. I just opened another school. I did not have time to cut the fucking grass, right? And then I was like, wait a minute here. I have time to cut the grass, and I'm showing my children the wrong thing, you know?
Wow.
Like I'm showing them the wrong thing because this is my house, you know? I don't have like some crazy house where like, you know, I can't take care of the flowers. I have a yard.
Yeah.
Cut the grass, Eliot, right? Cut the grass. So then, you know, my kid grows up a little bit, my oldest now, and he wants to cut the grass and he can't do it. right? He can't.
And he can't do it because he's not big enough yet?
He can get it going, but he can't start the lawnmower. He can't keep the line straight or any of that shit, right? Like, none of it.
I hate that when it's short on either side. There's a couple long pieces. Man, come on.
But it happens to all of us, right? Still. And he's crying and he's like, I can't cut the grass. And I just remember saying to him, I'm like, yeah, man, I know you can't cut the grass, but that's what's beautiful about this. You can't cut the grass today. When next year, or tomorrow or next week when we come back and practice again, you'll be a little better at cutting the grass. Yeah. This is so important, and it's such a lesson that we miss. Like failure is like the biggest thing that you can have in your life. It's the most beautiful failure and struggle. Love, failure, struggle. Because if if you don't have the love first and you're failing and struggling, you're going to crumble, right? Sure. You're going to crumble because you don't have that support. You need to have the love and support of somebody that's like, yeah, man, I know this is really hard. I'm sorry, but I'm going to be here with you until you can do it.
Yeah. I think the thing is that, people are like, well, what do you think the biggest things about being successful are? First you got to define success, like whatever that means. And that's an individual process, I think. But the other thing is like, you got to change the way you feel about eating shit. Like a lot of life is failure and eating shit. And it's like, you learn to fucking find that delicious and go, because everything in my life is a failure. And it's just been with bigger and bigger consequences, like leveling up failures.
Yeah, did you fail better this time?
And so I look at it as tries. It's like, as long as I'm in the try, I'm doing good. And I want to encourage other people to be in the try, because where the sickness starts is when you're solely a spectator. And then the delusions of yourself start in, because you've never etched yourself with any truth before about what your capacity is. For growth or leveling up, developing yourself, and I'm really grateful that in that jiu-jitsu just for that, and that it's a lifetime. I hate to sound like such a fucking dick rider for jiu-jitsu, but god damn, it's cured.
No better thing.
I was masturbating earlier today, and
you were what?
Masturbating.
Sweet.
And it was okay. It was okay. It wasn't sweet. It was like it was kind of like you expect, like the 4th of July. A lot of times it's like rockets, like, fuck yeah, blasted, awesome. But this was more like a slow flower unfolding or something.
Labor Day.
And you're like, okay, I guess we go on with the rest of the day now.
Yeah.
But even just all that shit, like, that sounds silly, but the whole thing about just comporting yourself as a boy that's growing up and growing through these phases and going, fuck, I've got this power inside of me. Now, what do I do with that? Nobody has that conversation anywhere. I remember when I was teaching jiu-jitsu years ago, and I used to just tell anybody, like, you're 12 or older, I'm like, listen, you guys, before you go out, jerk off for sure. You got to unload that thing every day, take care of it, or else you're going to make some bad decisions. You might make a good decision, but a boner never made a good decision on purpose, really. They fall into them sometimes. And that whole thing about, emotions, how to kiss a girl, how to reach out and all that. And then in all the Me Too stuff. And I start thinking about that and thinking about to my childhood and thinking, God, we're not giving, with all this judgment that we have online and everywhere else, we're not giving anyone any room to grow anywhere, to take any missteps at all.
But you can't fuck up. We have no redemption process. We have no redemption process.
And so it goes right against this trying. Like, oh, I'm just trying to do this. Well, fuck, to try stuff, you fall down a lot. But like the agreement we got to have as humans and community is that, like, I'm going to let you fall down. And as long as you have good intentions of writing that and not misstepping again, well, let's keep walking down the path together.
Yeah,
as long as everybody's able to own their own stuff and all that. And I can't wait till we swing into a more generous, maybe gracious viewpoint for each other.
And there's both sides of this. I 100% agree with that, but we're walking through a situation right now with one of the guys that was on our fight team. It's in the public, what's that?
What he
punched
a
his wife.
or something?
No, he punched his wife, knocked his wife out, and like that's fucking awful. And I do believe in redemption for this person. I 100% believe there's a way in redemption. But for him, a little bit, he might just have to sit in the shit. Nobody wants to sit in the shit either. Right? Like you're like, oh no, okay, I did this. I want this fixed. I want redemption now. Man.
Well, and it's because we think shit's forever.
Yeah.
You know, we think that, and that's the problem with I don't know, the type of mind I have anyway, is oftentimes I get into this position where I'm like, if it's good, the other shoe is going to drop. And then where am I going to be? Everything's going to be a disaster. And when it's bad, it's never going to end. So when it's good, it's for sure going to end. And when it's bad, it's going to endure forever.
Yeah, that's how I get too. Yep.
Not the best way to look at it. And so then I got to take my emotions out. You know, I started to write this fucking book, but, you know, part of that is the separation of the emotions and the intellect.
Yeah.
Like these are different factions of us, the spiritual, emotional, physical, intellectual. Those are different. If I can't parse those out into being different, they get muddy and they conflate. And then I get confused and I think my emotions are real. Well, God, if you got scared and your wife was waiting behind the door and you got scared, are you really scared, or were you just having you know, it's like intellectually there's nothing going on here, but emotionally you feel like lashing out. Well, that's not, you know what I mean? We have to separate these at all levels.
Well, we don't like to realize them first.
True.
We don't like to understand and be like, okay, I'm sad, or okay, I'm this. Like we think it's so bad.
Yeah,
right?
most of us have the two emotions. We're either okay or we're furious, and it's like, well, anger's layered. There's other stuff under that. Let's tease out what that is.
Yeah, but we just don't sit with our emotions. That's, you know, for like I do jiu-jitsu and I meditate. Like I meditate every morning so that these emotions, like I get good at realizing where I am.
Yeah,
you know, like it's super important to me. Like I have the things that I know have to happen in my life. You know, but they're not like big things. Right? Is that
what you do? Is just kind of to in the mornings use it as an organization for your mind, kind of for the day.
Yep.
Yeah.
It just sets my mind right. You know, because there's no, I can't be successful at it or not. The only successful thing is, did the act happen? You know,
correct.
Like there's no like, oh, that was a good one or that was a bad one. I don't judge it. That's what it was for today. And sometimes I feel like this like Zen state, like come over me, and that's amazing. And sometimes I don't. And for a while I was like wanting to find that Zen state, you know, all the time. And I was like, yeah, you know what? You got to give that up, man. You got to let go of that, because now you're putting a success on this that there is no success.
Yeah.
You know? So
and you rob yourself of the mystery, kind of. It's like we get so muted though, and like I take OxyContin, I have this result. I have a cocktail, I have this result, and it's like meditation or centering the mind is. I mean, sometimes you get a euphoria, a connectedness like nothing before, and when you get that, especially if it's too soon, I feel like you're like, oh shit, this is what I'm going to dial into every day. No, you're not.
Right. It's
not
like,
every day's that way.
It's like what I was getting back to with like when we fuck up, you know, with my fighter that fucked up, he's like asking for forgiveness right now. And you're like, yo, homie, slow your roll, man.
Yeah.
You know, slow your roll. You got to wear it for a little bit, you know? You got to wear this fucking this mark of shame, I guess you would call it, for a minute.
And without shame, where would we be? Without shame, I wouldn't have ever lost weight. I wouldn't have committed to anything. Without that sense, like shame is a powerful motivator for me in my life. Everybody wants to make everybody more comfortable, but I'm like, man, I got an ego, man. I need life to force me to be really uncomfortable so I can get reasonable.
Dude, Henzo called me fat 3 years ago.
Yeah, good for him.
You know, I was like a little heavy, you know, and I have this like petrified fear of being fat.
I know.
I was when I was a kid.
I get it.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, I have this like, I look in the mirror every day, not like in a vain way, but in a like, yo, let's look at this here, you know? And like,
it's not even like, do I have all my abs? It's like, do I look not disgusting? Because I feel like I'm disgusting all the time. Yeah.
You know, and Henzo was like, he walks up to me and like, only Henzo can call someone a faggot in a way that's nice, right?
Like a guy that can fucking make anybody feel good no matter what he says.
Matter what.
Just so kind and gracious, and you feel his love.
Yeah, man. And he walks up to me, he's like, man, Eliot, only a faggot has a fucking 8-pack when they're 40. And I was like, you know, and I was like, God damn it, you know, I'm fat. And like since that day, I'm like, fuck that. You know, I was like, fuck that.
I love
like,
that.
You know,
centered.
and
wow.
that's, you know, and that's the, you know, and like, sure, we can get all mad about the word if we want to get mad about the word, but like, fuck, man, I was fat and I was out of shape.
Yeah, nobody means, especially him. None of us three are looking to ever put anybody down or hurt anybody. It's like, I've never said that to a gay fella. And I don't, you know, it's a weird thing now, the way words change. Like, It's such a good word. It's got such like, it's like got good sounds. It feels good but man, one of my buddies, he was like, dude, that's what they called me when I was a little kid, and I cried every day. And I was like, I don't ever want him to hear that word out of my mouth again.
Right. Yes, we have to. Yeah, I get it. I get that. Right. I'm just. Obviously, we're telling a story, and the story's better with the word. I'm not going to say, the F word. I love the way he does it too. He puts it all out there. Like when he chokes the dudes on Twitter. Dude, it's like Henzo's just like, here's what's real, man. It's what's going on. There's no one like him.
He's an evolutionary expert.
He's the godfather of what we do, man. He's the gold, like, you know what I mean? Like, he's the gold standard for me of what like a jiu-jitsu master looks like.
I think so. I think he's one of the finest men in that business, man. And he's the lighthouse, right?
Yeah.
He's the lighthouse. So with a big fucking shining smile.
Always. And it's not like he's without problems. He's a person. Of course he's got problems, but how he views them, how he views them, what he does with them, and the way he like makes you feel like you are the greatest thing in the world right now when you're around him. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
It really is. I think that thing about, making everybody feel special. He's one of those guys that you hear people talk about that, but he and him in particular, and Greg Jackson, they're both that way. They're so curious and so interested in you that, or they're the best actors in the world, but they make you feel you're so fucking hyper acknowledged, I guess, around them as a valuable human. They treat everybody in their community as highly valuable.
You want to be around them.
Yeah.
Your day's better when you're around them.
Yeah.
It's crazy you brought up Greg. Like, I had a dream last night that I was fighting again and Greg wasn't there. And I was like, whoa, this is fit. Like, I remember walking to the cage in my dream now without Greg, because Greg just made me feel so good.
Yeah. People are like, he doesn't do much in the corners. I'm like, you got no
idea. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a centering around him. That's the thing too. I feel like that's the importance. Like when we're talking about this, I guess this talk is like, really about a couple of fellas and how they develop themselves so that they don't kill themselves or so they can show up for their best selves or whatever the thing is. But it's like that kind of thing. It's like, how can I become a better stand for that, where I can allow other people, where I can hold the space, right? That's the thing.
How do we find our power?
Because it's like Greg holds that space in his chest of graciousness and kindness and a real boundary of toughness also.
And calmness. And calmness is part of it too.
It's real. Calm. Yeah. It's real. It's not like words. It's like it emanates from him. Special, man.
Yeah, there's like people have that, and like like that. The people that have that, like, man, that like for me, like I did this thing called a dig once, which is like what I'm about. What's my one word that I'm about? And my word's power. And who I really am grateful for, and who I want to be like, and do is people that let me find my power.
What's a dig? You got to tell me more about. I've never heard the term.
So a dig is like, so that's what we're doing. We're finding one word that defines you.
And this is an exercise that somebody put you on, and they're like, I want you to go and think about this for a couple of days.
She walked me through it. Like, she just asked a lot of questions. We had like she had like sticky notes all over the room, and she's putting them everywhere. It's the lady that got me on this podcast thing and my book thing. She's the one who like set my life in this direction.
Ah, beautiful.
And like I wanted to do like public speaking, which I think I'm going to get into now, but when we got through my dig, she was like, I think the podcast thing is going to be your route, because, just because I'm so spontaneous, right? Like, and you're so spontaneous that like, I don't plan for these fucking things, man. I sit down, I go, I'm talking to Tait. What are we going to talk about? I bet we'll talk about jiu-jitsu somewhere, but that might, what I mean? But that might be it, But that might be it. I didn't know you were going to talk about jerking off this morning, like, well, whatever, right? But it's not like, but it's cool. It's fine, you just let but that's my thing, So she did the dig on me, like that's her thing, is she does the dig, and she does help people with public speaking, but she does the dig first. And yeah, man, my word's power, and I think it's because I feel so connected to the people that gave me power. I'm
always grateful of that. I remember a few years ago, really took it upon myself. And that's why, I mean, I appreciate the guys like, I mean, whether it's Jay Jack or Amal or even Alberto, who like everybody that touched me with that kind of fire, you know, that spurred me to go, oh, I want to be better than I thought I could be.
Yeah, it's amazing, you know, and we just need more of it, especially for men, you know.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, I think so too, dude. I mean, for me, I go back to I'm the fish I got to catch, you know, because I'll tell you what happens is that your life can get so good that it can take you away from the things that made your life good.
Yeah. Right?
Because you get busy and now you've got to attenuate these other things.
But I just feel like when I say for men, like, man, bro, we in my opinion, we have a real man problem. You know,
What's the problem?
The problem is men want, like, they don't know how to be men. And like I've talked about it a couple times, like the word toxic masculinity. Man, there's no such thing as toxic masculinity.
How creepy to hear that as a little boy.
But it's not masculinity. Like the things that everyone's calling toxic, no, that's not being a man. That's an asshole. Right,
yeah,
exactly.
It's a different thing.
Yeah, it's a different thing. So don't put the two words together. Because
you think that those are women that are mad at men that made that a thing, and there's like 4 of them, and they're like, you know what, we're going to make a term.
No, I don't think it's women. I think it's men doing it to each other mostly. You know, but I think it's men doing it. And then sure, like, you know, you come up with these words. What masculinity is the first and foremost, like I talked about a second ago, is the ability to show love. You can't show strength if you can't show love.
Right.
You know? And if you can't, right, so you have to be able to show love first and foremost.
That's exactly what I was thinking when you were talking about Henzo.
Yeah.
Is that his capacity for kindness makes him that's what we're talking about. That's his quality. Yeah,
and he's as alpha can be.
As alpha as they can get.
There's
the
no
kindest
more
guy you'll run
alpha.
into.
Yeah, there's no more fucking alpha than Renzo Gracie. It doesn't exist. You can't find it. Like, okay, sure, he's never been to war like Brian Stann and Tim Kennedy.
I don't know though. I don't know.
They're not more alpha than him.
I'm not going to say that there's not. I mean, that's a man that curates his decisions decisively, much like somebody with a heightened consequence like that. And and he's been in some consequential positions. I mean, you know, that's the thing is like, did you meet the pressure and not break?
Yeah.
I feel like he's built his legs, you know, he's not breaking.
Yeah. And then like, so after love, you have some core values in your life, you know, and you have some core values in your life that don't involve you at all. They're not about making you better. You know, what do you stand for? What are you willing to lose friends and money over?
Right.
You know,
what's an idea that you die for?
That you die for.
That's the thing about values is like coming upon them. I've been talking like kind of, I don't know, sounds like a douche to say coaching people, but like just talking to people about that and saying, you know, if you don't know your values, it's very hard to navigate. It makes navigating
impossible.
Life very difficult.
Impossible. Because it'll be like squirrel. Oh, squirrel, and you're like a dog. You know, your attention will always be grabbed. You know.
Yeah. I think that's the idea of a mission statement for a business. It's like people need a mission statement for their lives. Here's my values of what I hold on to. Here's the star that I'm shooting for, and then knowing the difference between my actualized values and just my ideas of values.
Yeah.
Meaning the things that really show up 100% of my time. This is a value of mine, and this is a way I'd like to think of myself, but I'm not really there 100%. Just an honest appraisal of self is important, and I don't think that we get that self-reflection unless we ask the hard questions.
Yeah. And for me, it came down like I you know, you texted me afterwards about like with my book, you know, dude, that nut was $30K, $25K or something, you know, and I was like, Jesus Christ, like I was just thinking about it wrong, and I was like, wait a minute, asshole. You don't do anything in your life based. You make no decisions in your life based upon money.
Right.
Right. You make none. Yep. So, okay, think about it a different way.
Yeah.
And then when
I go about it like fear.
Boom. Yeah.
I don't make, you know, because that's the thing about the money is like, oh, are you scared that there's a loss there? There's no loss there. There's no loss. Don't make a decision based upon being scared of a scarcity or something like that.
Because now we're working in fear.
Right.
And nobody makes the best decisions based working in fear.
Mm-mm.
You know, you make the best decisions working with love. And that's why it's the number one thing, I think, to be a man is you got to be able to show people love.
Yeah.
And that is the exact opposite of what we're doing. We're, in a lot of ways, we're trying to show people how tough we are. Like they think that that's masculinity. Man, that ain't fucking masculinity, bro.
Yeah, no, I want you to be tough. I want your iron to be strong as fuck, but I want you to hug people like you're melted butter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you got to give, that's what I've always said. Like my own personal mantras have been like, fucking kill yourself, love others, kind of take the beating, become hardened, Tait, fucking strive towards breaking yourself. And encourage and love and hold others to a degree that is way higher than you would have otherwise. Like and I never, don't look at others to see what they're doing or what they ought to do. Just look to your own tasks. Otherwise, your tasks will be lost, and then you're embittered. Like there's all these ways of comporting my mind. When I pay attention to the wrong thing too much, it changes my emotional outlook.
Yes.
So I'm making an intellectual endeavor that changes my emotions that then can either rot or encourage my insides. But if I'm not aware of those mechanisms, that's like playing with a loaded gun, not knowing which chamber the bullet's in.
And that's why we like to crush people, I think, because we're not aware. Right, that's like getting back to that. Like I think, like my fighter that knocked out his wife or punched his wife. Everyone's like, "Man, I would never do that, man. Fuck you, you would never do that." Like, look, sure, the Eliot Marshall that's sitting here in this second. If my wife came in here right now and started screaming at me, of course I would never do that.
There's literally almost zero things she could do to make you do that. But in the right situation,
over a long period of time of what might have happened to me in my life, I could see anybody fucking up. Not excusing it, not saying it's right. It's never fucking right. But that's what we like to do, and this is how we crucify them. We're like, man, I would never do that. No, man, you would do exactly that if you walked that man's shoes.
Yep. And especially I look at the judge that had so much contention around his name to the Supreme Court, and that had some beers, when he was a kid or whatever, and he listened to all that, and regardless of all of it, all I know is it's not rape. That happened. And that shit was starting to get conflated at that time a little bit. What behavior is acceptable and this and that. And so there's no allowance for this guy to grow until he's 45 years old or 50 years old or whatever he is. From kind of a drunken buffoon that is, playing grab ass with his friend while there was a girl in the room or something weird, whatever. But like the other aspect of it is then seeing the pressure that he's under. I was like, so under that, I was like, I don't know if that negates him from being the judge or not, but I saw the way he held it. And he's like, I like to drink beer. Don't you like to drink beer? Who likes? And he just kind of fell apart. And I was like, that's not very manly.
Yeah.
Is all I thought. I was like, that's not a Supreme Court I want around. Like, it's just the way you're dealing with this shows me all about your character. I don't know what happened in that room that night.
Right.
But your character, as you're exhibiting it now, as the man in front of me, I do not admire.
I do not admire it. Let's say all of that stuff happened in that room that night. We don't know, right? Like I'm not there, and I'm not saying she's lying, and neither are you, right? None of that. But what I saw is exactly what you saw. I saw a dude that had no business being the fucking Supreme Court justice of the world because of not because of what he did when he was 17 years old. Not because of that, right? If he did that, yeah, sure, that would disqualify him, in my opinion, too, to be a if he raped a girl, like that would disqualify him. If he sexually assaulted a girl in a major way like that, yes, that would disqualify him. But what really disqualified him, in my opinion, is that accusation.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm sorry, how he reacted to the accusation.
Yeah.
Right?
He didn't.
Yeah, man. That was, yeah. Like if you called me a child pedophile right now, I'd probably laugh at you because I'd be like, go ahead, you can try to find some evidence. Like,
let's tease that out. Where are you going with this?
Where would you like to go with this?
Yeah.
What would you like to accuse me of?
Right. And also, I mean, the big way is to always look and go, when I say, I as me, I take the heat and I'm generous towards you.
Yeah.
I'm strict with me, generous with you. Strict with me, generous with others.
Yes.
And
stoicism to a T, right?
And that is the way. And for him to not exhibit the way at all and to be kinder and gentler to what is a weaker species or part of the species in a lot of ways is a female animal and to not go, I understand, to go into that whole thing of I understand the vulnerability of this or that, and it's a bad, it's like all of that can be done.
Yeah, sure. In the physical sense, they're definitely not stronger than us,
right?
And to attack her in the way that he attacked her it was so wrong.
And then the malignment and then the online. Hey, what's doxing mean? I keep hearing doxing. They got dox. Is that just like everybody went online and said you're a bad guy?
I don't know. I have no clue what doxing is.
Isn't that crazy? There's all these new words that are happening now. I got to get on I got to listen to Joe Rogan more.
Fuck, right? Well, we need a Jamie, right?
Exactly.
We need a Jamie over there on Google, And getting back to it, Rogan's the best example. I saw a picture he posted or somebody posted the other day of him with he's the pod god, right?
Right.
He's the god of podcasting, And everyone's like, "Oh, I want to be Rogan." Dude, when did Rogan start podcasting?
Probably, I want to say, it was at 2008 or 9 or something like that, maybe.
Yeah, man. So he's the pod god 10 years later?
I mean, you talk about all you can look at with that and go, I want to be him. All I would say is, are you that consistent?
Yeah.
Are you that consistently curious? And do you show up every day? Because he does it 5 times or 6 times a week.
Sure.
And that becomes the thing is and also, could you carry that? Like everything looks great to people that other people have built. But the thing about experience in life is that experience without previous exposure to hardship will crush you. Mm-hmm. The exposing myself to hardship in times of peace, let's say, makes me strengthen myself so that I can carry the load when the consequences are higher.
Yeah.
And if you don't level up with your experiences in that way, and all of a sudden the load gets put upon you, like everybody wants to be a boss nowadays. Well, fuck, if you've never exhibited any boss shit, it's like squatting 400 pounds under a bar. And like you could go and do that for 5 or whatever. And somebody looks at you, they go, wow, that looked very simple. And they get under it and then they go right to the floor and they can't get back up.
Yep.
And it's that kind of delusion.
And they crush themselves. They break their back. They break their leg. Right. They break themselves. Unrepairable.
But if you're never in an arena and you never test yourself, you can live in the delusion that maybe you could lift that weight like that. And that's the trouble of not trying, is that you break your own psyche into believing delusional ideas and overestimating your own value. And so, like, anybody that is looking to grow themselves anyway, have less experiences have more experiences than you have opinions. That's the thing. That's the thing of interest. And that's the thing that pays us, is to grow those experiences. And then as that happens, that idea about there's no ciphers in nature, I believe that like when you build the legs, the universe will allow you to carry more. And then when that starts to happen, you're going to start to go, oh, thank God I didn't get this too soon. I wouldn't have been ready for it. And that's been coming up more and more in my life. I think now I see it more and more clearly than I ever have before. It just seems like, wow, that's a direction to this puzzle of life. And we got to figure that out way down how come we're 40 figuring that? What the fuck? Or whatever,
It's just the way that, it goes back to stoicism. Like you can't want it to be different,
Yeah.
This
I kind of fell in love with your parents. That I gotta say.
With my parents in the book?
Yeah. Because, I mean, just, when you get to know everybody's road, even just glimpses of it, you're like, you just get an appreciation for the depth of like what this is all about. You go, oh, it allows you to go, oh, this is fucking heavy. This matters. And then the struggles that are outside of the realm of like struggles that would be for me, like the way your dad walked his path and what he gained from it and what he felt like was really necessary for his boy to have versus your mom. Right. And how, they're walking along the same timeline and geography and they're extracting different things out of that, and then your grandparent, like, it was really fucking fascinating, man. I really appreciate it. And I thanks for the look in, because it was like, it's a peek into some real heart. you know,
I tried to pour my heart and soul into that book, you know?
Yeah.
Like I tried, I really
I believe in it, man. I believe in it because I've been finding, you know, we heal with stories.
Yes.
We heal with storytelling. And when I can listen to you and I can go, God, I relate to that. And then when that next magic happens and goes, wow, he found a solution. And then when the third thing happens and going, maybe that would work for me.
Yeah.
And you get into action, man, you set fuckers free, man, by being that honest. And I really appreciate it, man.
Thanks, man. Like it's the only way. It's for me, it's the only way out.
Yeah.
It's the only thing that cures mine.
Yeah.
It is into it, you know, like that's why it's called the gospel of fire.
Yeah.
It's because the gospel for me is the fire. It's no man. It's no nothing. It's not that book, you know, it's no book. It is the fire. Go fucking into it.
Yeah.
You know, like get in that thing, man. And just keep going, you know, just keep going. You're gonna get through. You're gonna get through. Now, you know, it's like, it's a really hard thing because like, sure, sometimes everyone, you know, as a society, I think we have to do everything we can to equalize opportunities, not outcomes. You know,
sure.
We have to equalize opportunities for people. But on the side of like the individual, telling someone that it's not fair, right? Like who they are, like, you know, like the white privilege thing. Like, do I believe in white privilege? For sure I believe in white privilege. But I am not going to tell a single black kid that the reason that, like, when I'm talking to that black kid or that brown kid or that whatever, that the reason that he's not getting what he wants is because of white privilege. That might be a part of it. I'll never deny that. I do, like, man, I got a black dad who's been pulled over by the cops way too many fucking times.
Yeah.
You know, like, I understand white privilege. But that's not the answer that wasn't the answer for Michael Jordan. You know what the answer?
Well, here's the thing.
The answer is work harder. Come on, let's go. You can do it.
The thing about that, of, you know, to counsel a young person in that, if there was money in it, meaning not greenbacks, but maybe greenbacks, but if there was like a result in it that fit form and performance, that had function and performance to it, like if telling him that white privilege is why you're not could make him win, then good. But it's not. It's a debilitating bit of information. It occurs, but this cannot matter. This cannot matter. Just because there's a goalie doesn't mean you can't score.
Right. Now, look, as a society, we have to do everything we can to equalize opportunities on a big picture, right? Truly. On a big picture, equalize opportunities. When I'm talking to...
And you know what my white privilege is? When I was a kid, I always thought that was happening.
Yeah.
I thought, isn't it great? We got equal rights and all that. Because I never walked in black skin before.
Right.
I never walked as a woman before.
Right.
I had no idea. I was like, oh shit.
Yes, that's our
privilege. I just knew that it was hard for me.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, this is added obstacles that these other folks have.
Right. Yes. That you've never walked the walk is the privilege. You know, like that's like people miss this all the time. That is the fucking privilege.
Yeah.
Now, what do we do with it? We try to equalize the opportunity on one end, and on the other end we go, hey, Johnny, let's talk to me, my man. Talk to me about how we can make this happen for you, because there ain't no fucking way that white privilege is holding you back.
No.
You know?
And if you give you give a couple years to somebody and you go, maybe that's true, but let's go ahead and do this. You exact a discipline that they do a couple hours a day or an hour a day, 5 times a week. Oh, you watch a motherfucker's life change and watch all that shit not matter. It melts away.
Man, I got this Mexican kid in my school, bro. His name is Nick. Holy shit, man. He came to us 14, 15 years old. He was a mess. A fucking mess, and in every sense of the word, he was a mess, and it's exactly where he should have been, because he has broke parents, like 10 people living like stereotypical Mexican life, 10 people, 8 dogs in the fucking house, right? Like, not where he is now, man. Not where he is now. Well, and that's the thing too.
Like when guys like that come, I'm like, I don't want to know shit about your home life. I want you to do this work, and we're gonna do good work and practice good work. And as we practice good work, all that other stuff will change.
Well, it will change.
But I can only have you focused on the positive good work. Because otherwise, we got complaints.
I can't deal with the fact that you have 10 people living in your house and your parents are broken. There's 8 dogs and I can't help you there. right? But where I can help you is these 3 steps. Do these 3 fucking things.
Yeah.
Right? Do these 3 things. Do these 3 things every fucking day. And when we do these 3 things and you conquer them, I'm going to give you 3 more fucking things to do. And if you get knocked down, okay, yeah, you're right. You're lucky. I'll be here to pick you up.
Yeah.
You know, and this is what we have to say to the world, you know?
Yep.
This is,
well, and I think that's the importance of podcasts like this.
Yeah, man.
I mean, that's the thing is like, there's gotta be better markers out there for these goddamn people than staying in the delusion and
than
the lie.
So-called leaders, you know, than the so-called leaders that we have right now. These motherfuckers aren't leaders.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah. And like, I mean, even Joe, people look to Rogan as a leader, and it's like, he would never say that about himself. He's what he is, as my friend, I look at and I go, he's one of the most curious people that really digs in more than almost anybody I've ever met before. He's one of the best researchers. And it's that curiosity that's driving. He's a student of life. And other people are like, wow, that's fascinating. It's like, yeah, it's available to you. It's available to everybody.
Exactly. Yes, it's available to you. Like, man, I'm trying to get Joe to read my book right now. And I'm like, come on, man. Like, what are the things that I have to do? There's no, oh, you got the UFC or you see him. No, man, I just got to take my time. We'll get there.
Yeah.
You know, like, I think my book has a good message. You know,
yeah.
I think it's got a good message. And they're like, oh, when people go, oh, you want it for the money. I don't want it for the fucking money, man. I've already handled that. It's so silly. How much money am I going to make off a fucking book?
Yeah.
You know?
And maybe and if it's $10 million, so what?
So what?
How does that change? I didn't do it for the outcome.
I've already made my money, man. I've already made my fucking money. My money was made while I wrote the book because I changed and I'm a better human being. Yeah, I do life better because of the girl who sat on, like, look, it's all my words, you know what I mean? But she extracted them out of me. That's what a good ghostwriter does, right? It was because she and I sat on the phone for fucking 70 hours and got my thoughts really fucking clear, you know? Yeah. And she, and I'm better. I'm a better human being. So is that worth 25 grand? You're goddamn right. That's worth 25 grand.
Right.
And now what's going on? Yeah, man. So of course now I want to spread the message, you know?
I'm going to send you these 7 chapters I got that aren't edited and that I was just going to throw away because I was like, I can't live in the rearview mirror and try to do the stuff I'm doing right now and go forward in life. So I just hit a pause button on that. But,
bro, you should talk to these people. These people are amazing.
Yeah, I should.
They're amazing. They, like this girl, bro, like, I mean, like I'm sure they're all like this, but like mine's mine. So I think she's the best.
Sure. Of course.
Like, man.
And your counselor, what does your woman, I'm assuming it's another lady that helps you like with the dig and all that.
Yeah.
What is that specialty of psychology that she's in? Is she in a certain path that they call something, or is she just a coach?
She's just trying to be authentic. Her word is authentic.
Because I've heard like neuro-linguistics, and I've heard
she's got nothing like that, man.
Okay.
She's got nothing like that. She asks a lot of questions and doesn't talk a lot.
That's super.
Right? She goes, tell me more, tell me more, tell me more. And then you just get these sticky notes. And it's true. It's what I try to do, right? And what my book is all about and what my podcast is all about. And everything I do on the fucking day-to-day is I try to, 1, be the best parent possible. And then 2, I try to make sure people can find their power.
Yeah.
And she hit the nail on the head. I didn't fucking, I guess I came up with it, but she's like, you know what I mean? Like really defining things, has really helped in my life, like,
hey,
that's
did you print a soft cover of your book?
Yeah. Yes.
You did. Okay. I've only
I only sent you the PDF, right?
I've only gotten it offline, but I can just go to Amazon, right?
Yeah. I'll mail one to you, man. I have them.
Okay. No, I'll get it in there. Right. And because I want to pass them around too, but my friend Scott McGee, he does a podcast called Sisu Way.
Okay.
And you guys should really talk for sure. He set the really nice table. Like it's a beautiful thing. It's like worth a trip to California to come and sit down. Just it's really something else. But it's the same kind of thing. There's this movement, I think, of men that are men of merit that are coming up that are speaking, and I'm glad that your voice is there because there's this thing like especially in the martial arts community about just fucking hold your mud. I remember anytime, like I remember Jardine and He's like, oh, what's going on? I broke that fucking bone in my big toe where my foot is, whatever. It's just, he goes, don't let anybody know you're hurt.
Yeah.
It was like, it's always that, right? Don't let anybody know you're hurt today in practice. Just hold that. Hold your face. Hold everything. There's no pain.
Right.
And inside of that idea is there's a lot of power. But as that gets out, it gets muddier, and then guys are like, nope, we just don't say our feelings. And it's like, that's not the thing.
We're not talking about the same thing. We're not,
that's a different mechanism.
Yes.
And we need to expose these things. We can't just be Steve McQueen and like silent and deadly or whatever. It's like, we've got to fucking be out there.
Everyone thinks that's stoicism.
That's so
not.
funny.
It's
like they're like a stoic guy, the guy that just sits there and holds his.
No, that's not
the
stoicism.
guy that's holding his baby while he's on hot coals.
Yeah,
and he's letting the baby know that his feet are burning off. Right. Like it's a different thing, man.
Yeah,
it's like there's
a way different thing.
This we're looking for.
Yes.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, man.
All right, homie. All right.
I got a question about one more guy.
Go ahead.
There's a tiger wrestler up in Boulder.
Mountain lion. Oh no. From a long time ago.
Not the recent guy. The guy that
yeah, Sean Moffitt. Yeah. Yeah. Tiger Sean. Fuck yeah.
I just remember he looked like he had the gnarliest girlfriend ever. He's like, these are big cats.
Yeah, man.
Playing with them.
Every once in a while, I bump into him. You know, every once in a while, he's
another strong son of a bitch.
Yeah, way strong, right? Holy shit.
Then one of the first MMA fighters back then, and it was way back then, it was when Jay was fighting. He just started. Mexican guy, big, strong, probably 210 pounds or something.
John Herrera.
Yep.
I don't know where John is, but I know Tiger Sean's still around wrestling tigers.
That's fucking beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, he still has this tiger thing going on.
Well, I love you, man, and
thanks for doing this, bro.
I want to do this again, or we can do whatever. We can do a swap cast and mix this up or whatever. But you're inspiring me, man, and I really appreciate your time and your diligence and all that.
Well, man, you're one of the first ones that's like moved on from an MMA career that like to be successful, you know, and that's why that's what we do. We got to look to the people that ahead of us, you know, that have done it, and you were one of the first, you know, like you got out of the MMA thing and you went to the acting thing, and like it was this succession. There was no like, oh yeah, all right, I'm gonna go fight again like a year later. No, man,
it was that thing to me. It seemed like an impossibility because it would seem like that would have been a failure. I don't like to say that because there's guys that make that choice and it's not a failure. I don't want to say that, but like for me, it would have been at my age and everything else. It would have been like such a regression to be, because I knew I would have been going back to be like, oh, I just want to be special. I want to be in the light. And it's like, or I want the money that's now available. And it's like, none of that shit's real, Tait. And you need to walk the road that's in front of you, not the one that you were on yesterday.
For sure, man. Well, you led the path of that, you know?
Shit.
So,
I don't know about that, but I'm glad to be on the road, and I'm glad that there's guys that I know that are like you that don't see a lot, that are really brothers, man, for a long time.
Fuck yeah, the man, bro.
And that keep me, you know, hey, we help keep each other honest,
we help keep each other honest and on the road.
Yeah. And I want to say too, man, there's a thing you said about millennials and coming into your office and how you had to change your thinking about that.
Yeah.
And that's such a fucking beautiful, poignant idea. And talk about a gracious, generous heart. Just the way you exhibit yourself, man. You're another one of these guys. I thought of Scott McGee and his Sisu Way podcast because as you were talking about your kids and all that, I'm like, God damn it, another guy, and I'm jealous of his kids. Like, how fortunate are they? And you're really a beautiful man, Eliot. Thanks, bro.
I appreciate it, man. You know, and my job is to make them beautiful as well. That's my one and only job, is to give them as much power as possible.
Well, give everybody a hug for me.
I will, man. Great to see you, man.
Right.
Great to talk to you.
All right, bye.
All right, later, homie. All right, guys, thanks for listening to this episode of The Gospel Fire. Don't forget to check me out on all of my social media at Fire Marshal 205. Again, at Fire Marshal 205. Go to my YouTube channel. Fire Marshal 01, that is, for YouTube, where you can follow. I'm making these videos 100K strong. That's the goal for the year. I want 100,000 strong listeners to the Gospel of Fire. So I'm trying to make a video a week so that you guys can follow along on my journey of how I go about my day, some things that I talk about, some things that I try to work on for myself. And then finally, don't forget my website, eliotmarshall.com, where you can get up to date with everything that has to do with me personally, the Gospel of Fire. You're going to find all about my book release, also called the Gospel of Fire, February 12th. It will be for sale on Amazon that whole week for 99 cents. So all that information at eliotmarshall.com. Thanks again for listening. Thanks to my sponsors, Evo Labs and On It. So that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed the episode.